Now we see a little snowman created by Minami to post on her social media. After that, she goes to school and meets the protagonist looking at the bulletin board. She decides to whisper in his ear to get his attention. Turns out Tsubasa was looking at the poster for the winter festival that will be held next weekend, which piques Minami's curiosity. Minami takes this opportunity to suddenly invite the protagonist, who is not used to dates, but she never said it was a date. Next, we get to know a little about Minami's family, her younger sister Momoko and her mother Ma, who I suppose are also dyed because they all have different hair colors. I was thinking of making a joke about it, but it seems they are all gals. The conversation then shifts to what they plan to do over the weekend. The little sister wants to go ice skating with Minami, but she explains that she already made plans with a friend to go to the festival, which surprises her mom because she hasn't been since elementary school. Tsubasa is the most excited about this, and he can't help but feel nervous about meeting Minami, especially when she sends him a photo she took in the morning. His nervousness meter is going crazy. He tries to calm himself by thinking only about the festival so as not to do anything stupid, but this is almost impossible when he sees Minami, as his meter explodes because of her beauty. Anyway, he is very excited about the snow sculptures he will see there, but Minami's face doesn't show her concern about the disappointment the protagonist might experience, as she stopped attending once she got used to seeing those things every year. However, for Tsubasa, this is a completely new experience. He is genuinely amazed by everything he sees there, and that's what makes the blonde girl happy. After taking a walk, the protagonist wants to take a photo of one of the sculptures, but Minami beats him to it and grabs his arm to take a selfie, but he ends up looking silly because he got too excited. After that, they go to buy something to eat. She orders some skewers, but as soon as she sees the protagonist, if you fancy a taste of his chorizo that he bought, obviously don't be suspicious. And yes, that is a kind of hot dog on a stick. I don't remember very well what it's called. But anyway, here comes the typical moment of the indirect kiss that embarrasses the protagonist so much. But Minami did this precisely because she knew how he would react, as she loves seeing those expressions on his face. Maybe she loves being the one in control of the conversation, but she is not immune to Tsubasa's charm. With sincerity and kindness, he is able to make her blush, and he doesn't even need to give her a compliment. He just tells her that he had a wonderful experience at the festival and that he's glad he went with her because he had a lot of fun. She decides to open up as well and tells him how worried she was, thinking that the festival wouldn't be that great, but seeing how much he enjoyed it reminds her of how much she loved Hokkaido herself. This repeats every time she talks to him, so she is also happy to have gone with him. Her speech ends with a big smile and a little stumble. The good thing is that Tsubasa was able to catch her in time. They just ended up in a perfect position for a romantic kiss, but nerves prevent them from doing it. At least everything ends with the two of them happily walking towards the station with a beautiful sunset. They also promise to go to another winter festival in the area on some occasion. The next thing we see is still somewhat related to the festival, but this time it's more focused on food. It turns out that Minami wants to have lunch with him in class to let him try some instant noodles that can only be found in Hokkaido. She loved seeing his reactions when he tried the different traditional dishes at the festival. For some reason, all these details make me feel like I'm watching a commercial, but what matters here is to see what the protagonist does, because this time he has to deal with Minami forcefully putting chopsticks with noodles in his mouth. Obviously, we already know the reason. She just wanted to tease him a little, using the excuse that she returned the favor of the chorizo during the festival. Plus, she wants to know what kind of lunch he brings to school. For him, it's just a regular lunch, but she sees it as so neat and cute that she even takes pictures of it. I guess it's because she's not used to cooking either. It's not like Tsubasa is a cooking god or anything. His food turned out well because his grandmother made it, but the blonde girl was still fascinated. The protagonist thanks her for everything. It's the first time he tries instant ramen, so he gets the feeling that every time he hangs out with Minami, he has a new experience. But hold on there, said the blonde girl, how is it that you've never tried instant ramen? Let's see, let's break it down. He's never been to a friend's house, never shopped at a convenience store, and therefore, he had never bought instant ramen. Instant videos. Besides, she had never been to a festival with a friend. The first thing she thinks is that he is a rich kid or something like that, and the strange difference I felt between them. But the protagonist doesn't consider himself part of what he would call rich. so Minami invited herself to his house to check it out. The main problem arises halfway when the blonde sees a small igloo that was probably made by children. She takes advantage of it to go in and drag the protagonist inside, but he doesn't feel too comfortable with the space and the situation in general. His fear comes true. All of this is very misinterpretable, and the first one to see it is his grandmother, who can't believe the things she just heard. But the worst comes when Minami appears, making things worse with words that I don't even want to repeat. She's not even ashamed of saying those things. When she finds out that the woman in front of her is Tsubasa's grandmother, the first thing she does is praise her for the wonderful food she tasted. But this woman only has one thing in mind. How do these two know each other? Minami is about to tell her that they are friends, but Tsubasa interrupts her with a "we're just classmates." This wipes the smile off Minami's face. Without any mercy, the grandmother asks her to leave them alone because they have an important place to go. The protagonist couldn't do anything. He knew things wouldn't work out between the two of them because his grandmother hates people being so expressive with their relationships. She finds it too inappropriate. This seems to be the end of the friendship between these two, but in reality, Minami doesn't care much. She approaches both of them to warn the grandmother that she shouldn't use an umbrella to protect herself from the snow. It turns out that her own grandmother slipped on the ice and couldn't hold on, all because she was carrying an umbrella, which resulted in a broken bone. Also, the path they have to take to their house has a pedestrian crossing, which is very slippery when there's snow, and she knows a better route, so she wants to accompany them and even carry things to take care of their hands. However, she is somewhat upset about what the protagonist said to her, but this is clear that she was just embarrassed to say in front of her grandmother that she is a very important friend to him, although she repeats it out loud as punishment. Oh, by the way, Minami was right. This could be called a mansion, but well, she knows she can't enter because of how the protagonist's grandmother is, so she decides to leave the place. However, the grandmother lets her in to have tea as a thank you for what she did. Meanwhile, she thinks about how soft she has become with her grandson, but she is sure that the blonde is a good girl if her grandson shows her. That is about to change when she sees how she acts inside the house, taking pictures everywhere, but a smile so pure from her grandson that she hasn't seen in years is enough for Minami to gain a good vote of confidence.